Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Hope everybody's having a really good day today. Whatever part of the employment tribunal process you're at, I hope today's not been too challenging. If it has been challenging, close the book on it for now and make a cup of tea and just forget about it, because believe me, it'll still be there tomorrow. I really just wanted to jump on here really quickly, just to say that if you haven't watched my video yesterday, I was talking about my first step on the employment tribunal journey. I was talking a little bit about something that cropped up at the beginning of my case, which was a PCP, and hopefully some people who watched it found it really helpful, or could potentially find it helpful in the future. And I started really thinking last night about, what I wanted to see when I first started the process and when I was going through the process. And even now, after I've been through the process, tribunal afterlife, as I've come to call it, the things that, that I feel would help me. And the things I was talking about yesterday, you can pretty much find on Google and the websites, even about like what happened to me and my case. It's all on the government website. The judgments are on there, the written reasons are on there. PCPs, again, we can go on the ACAS website, Citizens Advice. There's lots of places out there that we can get that information. And I started thinking about the kind of stuff that I wanted to share, because when I started these channels, I didn't really know what format they were going to take, and to an extent I really still don't, but that's kind of the way that I work. So the videos like yesterday where I was kind of going through different policies and things like that, it's really, really important, because it's certainly 50% of the journey. But what I think I really want to start talking about on this channel is the things that we don't find on the websites and that we don't find on the internet. And that's about the effects that it can have on you personally. That can be your mental health, your emotional well-being, your physical health. It can be about the impact that it has on your family, on your children, on your life in general. I really wasn't prepared when I started this process for the impact that it was going to have, not only through the process, but also after it as well. And I think people are really wary about sharing their experiences in that way. And I totally understand that, because it's a really hard process anyway. And I think a lot of people feel that if we start talking about the other side of it as well, and what potentially you may feel and what you may potentially go through, and not everybody does, but a lot of people that I've spoken to do, and they feel really similar to how I felt. And I think it's important that we start to get that out there, because I don't look at it as a negative in that it's really going to put people off and people are going to think, oh my God, like this process is crap enough as it is. What you're saying, it's going to get even worse. The way I see it is that if I'd have been personally much more prepared for what was going to come, I think I'd be able to handle it a lot better and cope with it a lot better, and really not beat myself up as much as I did, because I found the process really hard in lots of respects. And I took it really personally. I thought it was a personal reflection on me. I thought that I just couldn't cope, and other people are doing this and they seem to be doing really well, and why am I struggling? Why am I feeling like this? But actually, since talking to people since, it's not just me, and you do feel really isolated, and you do feel like it's quite a lonely path. And I think the more that we start talking about it, and the more that we start being, really real, like getting real on what that side of things are like, the more people will expect it. And when it does crop up and they do hit those points where, the process takes you to so many places mentally and emotionally, and it's hard to foresee it. And I didn't even give it a thought. And when you tell people you're going through an employment tribunal, one of the first things that people said to me was, oh my God, are you really scared about going in front of the judge? And that to me really kind of paled into insignificance with everything else that I was dealing with at the time. And and I found it really, really hard. And even now, I'm 2.5 years on from when the process started for me. And I still find it quite raw, and I still have documents that I find are quite hard to look at. There's a certain call recording that even now I struggle to listen to. And during the, getting the prep work ready for the final hearing, my partner had to do all that. He had to sit with headphones on and, listen to things and pick the bits out of what we were working on at the time, because I just physically couldn't do it. I couldn't face it. And since I've spoken to other people going through the process, they've said exactly the same, that they found that, preparing their witness statement and constantly going over the evidence is really, really hard for them. And I think it's really things like that that I want to talk about, because if you feel not as alone and not as isolated, and you know that it's not just you that is feeling like this, it is so much easier to cope with. When people sometimes put questions or post questions on forum sites, and they'll just sneak something in there oh, having a really bad day today, being sat on the kitchen floor crying, emoji. But it's not really an emoji kind of situation, and I think we make light of it. We kind of put our toe in the water, and we want to reach out to other people, but we're scared to do so because, what will people think of me? Will people think I'm really weak? Will people think, why did you start this process if you can't cope with it? Will people think, what's wrong with you? Get a grip. What you sat on the kitchen floor crying for? But in actual fact, what I found when I've spoken to people about my experience, they've said, do you know what? I'm really struggling with putting a schedule of loss together, but I actually feel so much better to know that you were sat crying as well. Just so it's not just me. It's not just me who can't cope with it. And sometimes the silliest things that we mention can be the most important things to some people. So just really to say that, there are going to be some videos on my channels and social media pages, and they're basically going to be getting real. They're going to be pretty big truth bombs, to be honest, because I think a lot of people who haven't been through the process don't actually realise the toll it takes on you and your life and your family. And as well as getting more legal information to be much more accessible to people and to make things much more simple. There's a lot of work to be done, but I also think, another side of the coin is that we really need to start pressing for more mental health support and guidance on our emotional health as well, not just for us as well, but for our families. And I want to kind of hopefully reach out to employers on that and say, look, these people who've worked for you, they've been a small patchwork of the sail on your ship that's got you to where you are now, where you wanted your business to go. And no matter how small a patchwork piece they were, they've still got you to that place. So when you don't need them anymore, and that can be for whatever reason, don't just throw them overboard without a life raft, because they were on your journey with you and they were going in the same direction. And if you don't want them along on your journey anymore, then you really need to facilitate them being able to navigate a new journey. And you can do that by, offering some counselling, offering some support. If you're a large organisation and you have access to, to mental health and to counselling and to HR, put that out there. Your employee may tell you to shove it where the ship don't sail, but at least make that offer, because even the offer of help, even if individuals don't choose to take it, they know it's there and they know that there's that support there if they need it. So there's going to be a lot more from me. Some of the videos are probably going to be quite difficult for me to kind of make. Some of them might be quite difficult for some people to watch. But I really think it's about time that, we really started getting real. So this is me signing off for today, but I'm going to be back really soon. And thanks again for watching. Bye bye.